great privilege to finally get to this day. It was 83 years ago on Thanksgiving that the Davy family was honored and the opening of this library occurred 83 years ago. So what you're going to see today is the real first physical expansion of this building since Franklin Roosevelt was in his first term. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I'm proud to say we have put this building together. We came in right at budget and a little bit ahead of schedule.
The Tuttle family has been just the embodiment of community spirit and civic devotion. Faity Tuttle was, of course, a pillar of this community, someone who had a friendly word, someone who was a visible presence, someone who was never a bashful person, always had something interesting to say. She always had a wonderful view on life, and really, she was someone that we could all emulate and take some things from, because she was such a wonderful person, devoted to her family, devoted to her church, devoted to all of the things that made her such a wonderful person. And I just want to thank the Tuttles for everything they've done. I mean, they have been a quiet, unassuming, but stellar performers for the town, the village, for our community. And they're just wonderful people. And this building and this addition is an embodiment of the kind of civic virtue that they have embodied throughout their lives. And I truly appreciate everything you've done for this community. It's really a wonderful thing. And in Faity's memory, it's even better. So thank you. There'll be a lot of reading going on in here. So Gary, thank you for your leadership as well. And I think we really should acknowledge Gary's happy reading for everyone who comes and enjoys this wonderful building. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
She would like to give this certificate of recognition to the Kinderhook Memorial Library, and the New York Senate congratulates you.
Oh, thank you very much. And now a word from our mayor.
And I don't need to tell you folks what an asset this library is to the village, and all the action and wonderful things going on here. So just going to be great to see the new room, and congratulations.
Great. Thank you very much.
What you've done.
Thank you.
I moved here in July of 1968, and I think I was 12 or 13 then. And this was the first building I came to in Kinderhook, and there was a wonderful lady who was a neighbor of yours, Fern Allen. She was a librarian, and she encouraged me, and the first book I took out of here was Alice in Wonderland. But
did you bring it back?
Could you give me a waiver on the fine? I am an attorney.
We can take care of that. You're good.
I think one of the most important things that people do is read. I'd like just to thank the Tuttles and everybody else who's brought this opportunity for people to be able to come find a spot and read and participate in what I believe is a magical experience.
When the Friends was established in 2005, this library had already begun to outgrow itself. We were doing so many wonderful programs. Ellen had done some work here as a director, and Julie Johnson, and of course now Annalee, have responded to the needs of the community and provided library service that has just been outstanding. But the building has not been adequate for it. And the Friends saw a role for themselves in trying to help that situation, not only to support the library and the services that it provided, but also to look to the future for helping out in possibly doing an expansion. So for us, it's such a gratifying experience to see this day finally come, and we want to tell you how committed we are to continue to work for the larger expansion, and we're going to work as hard as we can.
I just want to thank everybody, the board, the architects, the builders, all of the people that work so hard in this, the Tuttle family especially. I cannot think of a better gift that our community could receive, and that's what it is. It's a gift to the whole community, this expansion, and it's a really special thing to me. I was staging it yesterday and putting all the magazines in there, and I will admit in a very librarian geek kind of fashion that I got a little choked up because it looks exactly like I thought it was going to look, and I'm so pleased with it and so proud of it, and I hope that you all will be too, because while the construction, thanks to Jim, went exceedingly fast, this was not a fast process for us to get here. As Jim mentioned earlier, there are notes in our board meetings going back to 1973 that say we needed an expansion. So this has been and that's before I was born. So this is a long time coming, and we are just ecstatic beyond belief to be able to share this. The library, is what our community needs it to be. And the community, the one complaint I get very few complaints from the lovely residents of this town. The one complaint I hear is that we are so vibrant, so busy, that when there are children's programs going on, there is no quiet. And while I am a noisy librarian and probably will not be in this room very often for that reason, we wanted to be able to be as much as we can to all of the people we serve, and there is a need for this. So this is going to be this great present, and we can keep being vibrant and noisy and boisterous out here, and there will be a quiet place for the people who are looking for that. So we really wanted the community to know that we heard you, we listened, and we were trying to respond in kind. So don't ever feel like when you come in and say something to me or one of the board members that you're not being listened to or heard. You are. It may take us, a few years, but we're working on it, and that's the important part. So you're always being heard, and I want to thank the patrons and the community members that make this library what it is, because otherwise it's just a room full of books and librarians. So you guys are really the thing that makes this library as wonderful it is, and I'm so lucky to be working here and working with all of you, and I really hope that you enjoy this room as much as I already have.
I want to thank the board for dedicating this room, which we're going to open up in a few minutes, to my parents. I really, really appreciate that. They were very interested in libraries, and I'll tell you a little bit. But what Annalee has done is created this library as essentially the living room for the communities of Stuyvesant and Kinderhook. This is where people can come and sit down, as you would in your living room, and read a book, read the newspaper, or even, if you're quiet enough, have a little conversation. It's warm, it's welcoming, it's just a wonderful place in the community for people to get together. And you have how many programs during this current year?
The last year, it will be more this year. The last year we had, in 2015, we had 339 programs.
So that's almost one activity a day all year, and remember, we're not open on Monday, so some days had to double up. Fantastic. Anyway, I want to tell you a little bit about my parents, since this room is being dedicated to them. My father, by the time from the time he was 10 till the time he was 15, he sort of lived in the Naugatuck Library. And by the time he was 15, he had pretty much read everything in English, Latin, and Greek that was available in the Naugatuck Library. And that enabled him at that age to get accepted at college, even though his dad said, no, you got to wait another year. The library for him was a pivotal piece of the community, and enabled him to go on and do things which he probably would not have been able to do if he hadn't had the availability of the books and the support of the librarian in Naugatuck, Connecticut. At one point I tried to count the books in the house. When I got to 10,000 I quit. So he was not a librarian as he went on, he just acquired books. But as a kid, it was very important. My mother, whose education, I think many of you have heard this story, but she was orphaned at 11, sent by an aunt down to boarding school in Virginia, where for 7 years she learned the things that a young lady in Virginia needed to know. That is, how to speak French with a Parisian accent. The whole school day was only French conversation for 7 years. How to ride a horse over jumps, and how to make a really good mint julep. Equipped with that, in 1929, she went out into the working world and decided to be an actress, and eventually made it to Broadway. Her library utilization really didn't come in until she was older and living on 66th Street in New York. And then she used the Carnegie Library on, I think it's 68th Street, just off of First Avenue, as her main source of books. She says, it's stupid to buy books, I haven't got any place to put them anyway. I'm going to use the library. Coincidentally, her aunt, the one who sent her down to Warrenton, Virginia, was a good friend of Mrs. Carolyn Davies Lloyd. I always get that backwards. Carolyn Davies Lloyd, who built this building in honor of her husband, Mr. Davies, and who had a summer place over in Great Barrington. And I think she must have grown up here in Kinderhook. I don't know the real Kinderhook connection behind her, because this is where she put this building in memory of her father. But she would stay there, and my aunt would stay with her sometimes during the summers. And they did come over here and see the library about 43 or 44. But that's all in the past. Now we've got to move on. We've got this beautiful room, which has doubled the number of rooms that are usable in the library.
To 2.
Yeah, we got 2 rooms now.
And doors.
But we have plans to continue on with adding more utility and actually putting facilities like bathrooms in, which, as you know, virtually don't exist here. And we need to keep the momentum going.
You were coming early. I will definitely talk about it. I will definitely talk about it. We worked so hard and this is what I wanted.
Great.
Yes, I'll let you try this.
It smells new.
Yeah, Jim.